What are some of the benefits of using living soil, of making your own compost that's full of bacteria and fungi and protozoa and nematodes? Using that on your plants, eh, is it really all that much better? Well, today I'm going to show you what's going on in our greenhouse. Today is June 1, and we just pulled the cover off the greenhouse. For a couple reasons. First big reason is way too hot here in Florida now, here at 1st of June. But second of all, we've had an amazing armyworm infestation here in the greenhouse. So let me take you around and show you just how extensive some of the damage is. All right, these are sweet pepper plants. And boy, I would say 3 weeks ago, they looked great. But as you can see now, they've pretty much been eaten clean. And now I don't know if they're going to survive, but they've certainly been damaged. And there is one of the little guys right there. All right, now let's take a look around at some other things. You can see on this banana leaf, they've actually done a little bit of damage. They were chewing on this leaf before it even opened, when it was still rolled up. That's why it's a kind of a cool little pattern there. We have sun hemp growing in here to mitigate root-feeding nematodes. We've lost cucumbers and tomatoes in this particular roll, but you can see that the worms, the army worms, they don't mind eating sun hemp either. Now, they're not really taking it out yet, but they are doing a little bit of damage. Tomatoes really get hit hard. These, in fact, there's a moth right there. uh, these army worms really love tomatoes. So there's one just chowing down on the tomato itself. They eat the leaves. They really devastate tomatoes. And this whole row here. Now, yes, it's getting so hot now that these tomatoes are really not going to be really viable anyway. They're not going to set any more fruit. So they're done. So no big deal there. These French marigolds we also grow as a biomass that's going to help mitigate root-feeding nematodes in here. And these don't look too bad right now, but they've actually come back from being completely defoliated almost by the army worms. These plants here were just about done, and they've come back and sprouting out a bunch of new growth as the worms have moved on. So we know that the soil here in our greenhouse just isn't where we want it yet. We notice that it's still very sandy. It looks very sandy. The organic matter, it's almost like we're losing the organic matter as it's going down through the sand. I don't really know for sure, but sand, the type of sand that we have here is tough to keep nutrients, and so we've got work to do on our soil here in the greenhouse. But what I've got that I'm going to show you now is a cowpea trial. I took 5 different pots and I put 5 seeds in each pot. Now, in 5 of the pots, I used Miracle Grow organic potting mix. That's all I used. In the other 5, I used 50% organic Miracle Grow potting mix and 50% my compost, my biologically complete, superior, world-class premium compost. And so I'm going to show you what's going on now with the 2 different batches of these cowpeas. So these are the Miracle Grow 5 over here. And you can see right away, this plant has been almost defoliated. We've got Swiss cheese going here. In fact, there you can see the culprits right there, chewing down on the blossom coming out. Now, it's pretty green. uh, plant here, but you can see this one's yellowing. Um, so we got some serious damage going on these. Now, let's take a look at the others. So these are the cowpeas grown in a 50-50 mix of the Miracle Grow organic potting mix and 50% of my compost. And I just want to, let's get up here and take a look. And very consistent deep green in all the top leaves. And if you look down, you'll notice there's a few places where there was some chewing going on. But if you really take a look, there are no worms to be found on these. So worms came in, they took some bites, and they decided to leave. When a plant gets the nutrients that it needs, it doesn't taste very good to pests. And the pests will prefer plants that are grown in higher nitrogen, synthetics nitrogen. And I see it right here in the middle of my greenhouse. So while I'm kind of standing in the middle of kind of a devastated greenhouse, don't worry about it. This is all an experiment, and we're headed in a direction. We're headed in a direction of soil that is living and powerful to grow plants that have all the nutrients that those plants need and are so fooled not with simple sugars like easy nitrogen gives a plant, but complex sugars that the pesky army worms just don't find as palatable. So I'm super excited to see this particular result in this trial right here in the greenhouse where these cowpeas are as available to all the worms in here as everything else. And yet these pots here are almost untouched. They look great, they're green, they're healthy, and it's like they're in the middle of a war and they're completely untouched. So the next time you're going to plant, just remember regenerative agriculture has its advantages. And if you're patient enough to make your own compost or get some super high quality compost that you know is good compost, and you're able to get your soil, build your soil over time, over years, you're going to move to a place where this kind of thing, this kind of pest resistance is going to become more and more common in your garden, just like it's becoming more and more common in my garden as well. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed that, and keep growing good things.